Hari Om. As stated earlier, Atma Sanyamana Yoga cannot be understood if, like the chapter 2, cannot be understood if Sankhya Tattva Jnana is not understood. This particular Adhyaya cannot be understood if Patanjali Yoga Shastra is not correctly assimilated. In fact, the Sadhana Padam, the Samadhi Padam, the first pada of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in its gist form, has come in these two shlokas. The depth of these shlokas is so high that normally the bhashyam, which is to the point, it is not as terse as sutra, but it is to the point, and it never expands unnecessarily yet. As Sureshji mentioned, Madhusudan Saraswati Maharaj is spending pages after pages in this particular adhyaya for each shloka, always referring back to two granthas, Yoga Vasishtha and Patanjali Yoga Sutra. There is a doubt that is raised by Arjuna. We also raise this doubt: how to get God? How do you become godlike? How do you realize the self? How do you get moksha? But nobody calls us Mahabhaho. At the max, we are Alpabahu. Why Krishna is prompted to call Arjuna as a Mahabhaho, as explained in the light of Madhusudan Saraswati Maharaj's explanation? Because the question is $1,000,000 question. And it is not a general statement like we all make, the mind is very difficult to control. No. It is not from the superficial aspect. It is from the deep depths of contemplative thinking that the question has come. Ask any person in this world and he will say, yeah, mind is very chanchal, the mind is not easy to control. What is great about it? Chanchalam. Even Arjuna is also saying Chanchalam, and every ordinary person. Then why ordinary person is not Mahabhaho? Why Arjuna is Mahabhaho? Because the depth to which Arjuna has studied the operations of the mind. Manahi evam manushyanam karanam bandham mokshayoho. So, as we have the story of a demon or a Rakshasa having his life in a parrot or something, our entire problem, the very reason why we study Bhagavad Gita, why we try so much, why we are suffering, why, all whys are answered by only one thing: because you have mind, which produces vrittis. That's all. If you do not have an apparatus which produces vritti or thought, there is no need of any scripture anywhere. Not even Vedas are required. Meaning, if it is the mind, that is the source, precursor of all the evils or the ills that we are suffering from, then we ought to study the operations of the mind, nature of the mind, so that we can work on the mind. In the light of the guidance provided by Yogeshwara, Sri Krishna, Arjuna contemplated on the operations of mind, and he used erstwhile Rishi Munis such as Panchashikhacharya or Patanjali Maharaj and analyzed the work of the mind. And then he realized that the mind is working through 5 vrittis. It can be classified into 5. If these 5 are absent, mind is not there. That means mind is something which is intangible, which can only be ascertained through its working or effects. So mind is karyanumeyi. Unless the karya is there, it cannot be ascertained. Karya is absent, cause is also absent. Vrittaya panchataya klishta aklishta. There are 5 types of modifications that the mind gets, and these 5 can be either for fomenting trouble or for relieving the trouble. That which can catch you unaware in the samsara or can help you get out of the samsara. Meaning, it is the mind that has brought us to the problem that we are facing. It is the mind that will take us out of this particular problem. Very beautifully, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, you have a thorn in your soul, in your foot. To remove the thorn, you will have to use a thorn and then throw both the thorns. Pramana viparyaya vikalpa nidra smritihi. These are the 5 vrittis. In very simplistic words, in a very crude language, we can say we are what mind is. 1. What mind is only in 5 states. And what are the 5 states? Either I am experiencing something through the pramana. Right now, we are experiencing the words called agama or shabda pramana. Gurudev has written something. We are thinking about it. Our mind has developed thought of Bhagavad Gita with the help of words spoken by Gurudeva. This is called agama pramana. I can see myself right there in the screen of mobile that there are people present. Pratyaksha pramana. And since 1920 people are attending the satsang, I am guessing that they are present right there near their mobile. Although I am not seeing them, this is called anumana pramana. So either my mind is trying to have these 3 pramana and jnana or cognition from them, 1, viparyaya, or I can have a wrong cognition. I think Manishji has left, but actually he is there. This is a wrong knowledge. Pramana viparyaya. Vikalpa. Vikalpa is simply because you can talk through words doesn't mean it should mean an object. For example, there was a Vandhya Putra who called a wedding feast. Now this word is correct. Vandhya Putra called a feast. How can Vandhya Putra be there? Because Vandhya means putraless. But Vandhya Putra called a feast. Words can be there, but factuality cannot be there. Vikalpa, pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa. The commonest vikalpa we have is Brahma is Satchit Ananda, is also a vikalpa. Why? If Brahma is characterless, how it can be Satchit Ananda? Just because words can speak it doesn't mean it exists. It is a vikalpa, but it is required for our understanding. So, pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa. 4th, nidra, we are sleeping. And 5th is smriti, we are remembering. So, about the indriya gochara srushti, when we use the indriyas, We are using one of the pramana viparyaya vikalpa to get hold of the things around. When we are not doing anything like this, then we are always brooding in our mind about the memories that we have, smriti. And when we are not doing anything of this, we are sleeping. That's all that the mind does. But it is continuously busy in doing one or the other vritti on a continuing basis. In fact, there is not a single microscopic moment when the mind is not working. Through these 5 channels it works, but it never rests. What about the sleep? Even in the sleep, it is not resting. It is under the influence of tamoguna. As long as mind is under the influence of guna, it is continuously working. Oh, but I was actually in the contemplation of Narayana and actually forgot everything around this world, and I was only remembering Narayana. Sir, this is also the mind working. Sampradnyat samadhi is also mind working. So even in samadhi, it doesn't stop working. In the ordinary course of action, not to talk about it, it continuously works. This, after contemplation, Arjuna understood and then put the question. So Krishna was delighted and he said, oh, you are Mahabaho. You are spiritually also mighty armed because your mind can contemplate, and then only come with this $1,000,000 question. Chanchalam hi manaha. Now he's trying to tell the problems because he has understood the mind is the thing to be controlled, restrained. And he immediately realized what are the issues. He has even thought of issues of mind, even causing troubles into the higher stages of Sampradnyat Samadhi. And that is why that helplessness that it came, almost bordering on the impossibility of controlling the mind. So he is asking Krishna, Chanchalam hi manaha, unsteady, because it is never at one place. And the whole purpose of requirement of meditation or dhanam is ekagrata. Ekam agre asit. And mind is never ekam agre asit, from one to other to other to other. Ephemerality. Not only that, it is pramathi. When so for example, while driving to the office, we see 100 things on the road. So the mind is shifting from that car to that car to that car. Doesn't matter. But it doesn't disturb us very deeply because we say it is a passing by thing. There is a flower bed on the road. There is somebody going from the other side. Suddenly a huge vehicle like bus comes from the side. We do note it. Mind goes here and there, but it doesn't cause disturbance. But the places where it has developed the relationship, such as even a thought about a beloved or an enemy, it creates a turbulence in mind in the form of storm of thoughts, as well as in the body. So it is pramathi. It is chanchalam. It is a pramathi because it is the source of disturbance of body and mind, as Madhusudan Saraswati Maharaj calls it. Not only that, Krishna, I have also found that it is balavat. Balavat is resistant. In order to compare this resistant or balavatness, Shankaracharya has used that particular analogy of Tantunag. Tantunagavat balavat. Tantunaga. Now, Tantu and Naga does not really fit into the description of a shark, although they are calling it as a shark. Tantu, that means tentacles. Nagam means a snake-like, tentacular and snake-like. is perhaps a larger creature like octopus whose grip, the whole purpose of this particular Tantunag is called to give the example of the grip that it has, Balavat. And once you are under that grip, you cannot get released unless either you die or you make that particular animal die by cutting the tentacle. That is the only way for you can escape. There is no other way to escape. No way the animal will release you. No way the mind will release you unless asanga shastrena drudhena chitva, cut asunder, balavat. Hold on, Krishna, I am still telling you one more quality of the mind. It is drudham also. It is tough. But Balavat is already said. Why Drudham? Difference between Balavat and Drudham. Balavat, difficult to escape. Drudham, tough because even if I cut it and escape it, there will be another Tantunag coming. Why? Because of multiplicity of vasanas which have developed because of millions of births and their samskaras. So if our biography is kept in front of us as millions and millions of life, multiplied by trillions and trillions of vasana, how many births will be required even to exhaust those vasanas? And while exhausting, again I'll be creating the vasanas. Where is this vicious cycle going to end? I am born because of my vasana. While born, I am doing some karma. Because of my vasana purti, I am doing the karma. But because of karma phala apeksha, again I am creating the vasana. Again the vasana is creating the janma. Again janma, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Where is the end of this vicious cycle? That is what has made Arjuna a completely hopeless person. He is not hopeless because he is weak. He is hopeless because he knows the mightiness of the enemy. The stature of the enemy is so bad. He is a chanchala, pramathi, balavat, drudham. With this much contemplation and thinking, he is telling Krishna, hey Krishna, my, according to me, I don't know your opinion, but according to me, aham manye tasya, all these, nigraham vayuriva sudushkuram. It's not only dushkara, it is sudushkara, extremely difficult. Vayur eva. Can you control the vayu? That, in fact, which can be controlled cannot be called vayu. Vayu means there is no control whatsoever. Because flowing is his character. What is vayu otherwise? A steady vayu. There is no steady vayu. Vahati. Vahati iti vayu. Flowing is the nature inherent in the vayu. Heat is the nature of fire. And chanchala pramathi balavad drudam is the nature of mind. And still you want it to be controlled. Nigraham sudushkaram. After this particular way that it was put, and that is why Gurudev here, first of all, Gurudev has enjoyed so many things in those two slokas. Can't say exactly what place, what occasion, where these two commentaries were written, where, which city he was, which station, what time of the day, we don't know anything. But one thing we can know, that the mind of Gurudeva at this commentary of these two slokas was at a highly creative level. And it's creative, of course, all through the Gita he's creative, but here he was enthused with the literary prowess. Not only he was enthused with the literary prowess, a person of his caliber could immediately draw upon what he had studied during his graduation or otherwise and bring, because during graduation also in the English literature, certain things have appealed him, like the way Wordsworth appealed Swami Vivekananda. Gurudev suddenly remembered this Thomas Gray's elegy, and in this elegy, Thomas Gray's elegy is supposed to be of the philosophical type. It is one of the finest expression. The poem is written sometime in 1770s. The finest expression about what? The poet Thomas Gray is standing in the graveyard of a small village near Birmingham. We're talking of 18th century. And those days, every village by rule was under curfew. Curfew word came from there. Curfew means in the evening, the church bells used to toll, and that was an indication that all the citizens are supposed to go to their hamlets, their houses, and sleep. So with a little bit of hurry, all the shepherds used to take their cattle as fast as possible towards the home. Now the poet is in the graveyard looking at those who are already buried here, and those who are alive are going towards the village. And he's overcome with the emotion that what is there on those who are leaving and going to the home, and those who have gone beneath the ground and are also gone home. Death seems to be the inevitable end of everyone. There is a slight shade of melancholy at the same time of a spirit of philosophical inquiry in the poem. That is why the curfew tolls the knell of a parting day. The ringing church bells are telling that the day has ended. Now fades save drowsy tinkling lull the distant folds. The small bells that are there in the neck of the sheep, they are also making the noise as if it's a noise reminding you that one day you are supposed to go. This was in the mind of Gurudeva while commenting on this. That is why one after the other statements with extremely high literary quality, Gurudev is forthcoming with throwing those statements one after the other. One can be sure that when this commentary was written, it must have come out without any interruption, like a flow of a cascade. It's a different pleasure to read even the commentary from the literary angle, although it is a philosophical commentary. And that is why Gurudeva, when he used the word Krishna, he used Krusha as a dhatu. Now, the dhatu in the word Krishna can be used in different ways. That is the beauty of Sanskrit. Krusha is to remove, according to Madhusudan Saraswati, to scrape, according to Gurudeva. But Gurudeva has used scraping for a specific reason. When you scrape the pot which is soiled, you don't destroy the pot. The pot is not destroyed. The guilt in the pot, the dirt in the pot is scraped off. In the similar manner, on realization of the truth, the threats of delusory mind and consequent dreamy vasanas are scraped away from the cognition. The cognition doesn't end. The wrong cognition that led to formation of vasanas is taken away. Shankaracharya has used, Madhusudan Saraswati Maharaj has used also another word, karshati. Karshati is to attract. Krushati, scrape away. Karshati, attract. Akarshana. Karshana is to traction, to attract. So, Krishna, because it doesn't attract. Akarshati, the negative tendencies. Each of the commentator has used his own prowess of Sanskrit to explain that. After listening to such a beautiful question, Krishna has come out with the answer, and Gurudeva has actually put the precious stones around the commentary in this. First thing he says, I agree with you. Gurudeva says, stoop to conquer secret of success. I agree with you. In fact, eventually he's going to disagree. So first word of the second shloka is asamshaya. Mahabhavo, I agree with you. Asamshaya, without doubt what you say is right. And look at the last word, gruhyate, can be restrained. In the first word he says, cannot be, asamshaya. And in the last word he says, it can be. And how? That is the middle part. Asamshaya, Mahabaho, Manaha, Durnigraham, Chalam, agreed, Asamshaya. But tu Abhyasena Kaunteya Vairagyena Chagudev, He Kaunteya, Abhyasa and Vairagya. These two things can lead to, the detailing goes to Patanjali Yoga Sutra, where the Bhashyam in the first pada says, Chitta Nam Ubhayato Vahini. Antakaran is a flow of two types. Vahati Kalyanaya, Vahati Papaya cha. Vritti can be for Kalyana as well as for the pop. The thoughts can be for welfare or for destruction. Tat Vairagyena Vishayastrotaha Khilikriyate. What does Vairagya do? Vishayastrota. Antakaran or the mind going towards the object, it's stopped by Vairagya. And then what does Abhyas do? Viveka darshana abhyasena viveka strota udghatyate. It opens up the study of Viveka. So one arm stops minds going out, the other arm pushes the mind towards the Viveka through Samadhi or Dhyanam. And such two arms were there with Arjuna. So Mahabhaho, one more Mahabhaho. So while developing the Vairagyam, initially you have to try. As Meenakshi ji said, get up at 3 o'clock, even if your mind doesn't agree with you. That is called Yatamana Vairagya. Engaged in effort, Yatamana Vairagya. After we conquer that, then what happens? Out of the 10 things that we are supposed to have Vairagya, 2 things are achieved. So you make a list. Oh, this, I get up in the morning. 1 thing is done. 2nd thing is, but about the food, I am still. So when something is remaining, something is there. Vyatireka Vairagya. After years or maybe births of practicing this Vairagya, then you develop complete neutrality about whatever is seen by the Indriyas. The perfume doesn't matter, the car doesn't matter, the wife doesn't matter, the lady doesn't matter. External things are gone, but inside the mind, still the problem is existing. That means the whole sensory thing is now concentrated only in one organ. Which organ? Mind. Mana shashtani indriyani prakrutisthani karshate. So that is called as ekendriya vairagya. Even when from the mind also the thing goes, then it is called vashikara vairagya. Arjuna, these 4 vairagyas step by step you develop, and by abhyas only. Satu dirgha kalena nirantara satkara sevito drudabhumi iti abhyasaha. Satu dirgha kalena, continuous endeavoring, nirantara, without any interruption. In the morning, I am in the spiritual mood. In the afternoon, in the vyavaharika mood. Again in the morning, baddha mukta. That doesn't work. Nirantara. Satkara sevito. What is Satkara sevito? tapasa shraddhaya brahmacharyena vidyaya sah drudha bhumi. That is called abhyasa. So Arjuna, asamshaya, what you say is right, but there is a solution. How easy is the solution? Depends on how easy the problem is. But the problem is too difficult, already declared by Arjuna. Naturally, the solution has to be, is also not going to be so easy, but it is not impossible. We have created our own infrastructure through multiple births, millions of births, and their sanskara and vasanas, and you want them to be completely annihilated in one day. The city that you created has now expanded into miles and miles. So demolishing each building one by one will take time. But why bother about time? Shubhasya shigram. We can start right away. Start where? No confusion. Right away tomorrow morning I'll be sitting in the meditation, and another half an hour, and maybe by 35th minute I will be getting directly realization. Sorry sir, it doesn't happen. Start from immediate nagging things. And there are so many. The backlog is so much. Which subject to study first, sir? All subjects are pending. Take anyone. Take the one which you can handle, which is basically nothing else but the yama niyama abhyas. Yama niyama means discipline. Mind does not like discipline. One of the way of minding the mind is to discipline it. Every single discipline that you do, mind gets conquered. The easy way of conquering mind is to work against him at present. What does the mind say? Do opposite. Pratipaksha bhavana, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. 2 hours satsang also is too difficult, it is very difficult. Make it 4 hours. The food, what happens? I cannot go without sweet. Start eating neem. Start eating bitter things. Tell the mind, eat what I'm giving. Then you will find even the salad is so tasty. Why? You're eating now neem. This is how mind works. So in these 2 shlokas alone, if studied carefully, the entire secret of why we are in bandha and how to become mukta, both are explained only in 2 shlokas. Entire sadhana path is brought into 2 shlokas by Bhagavad Gita. That is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. That is why it is our universal scripture. Hari Om.